Okay, so this video is very important. Remember, they're changing my voice because there's a sort of white, Jewish, and LGBT surrealism agenda going on with the governing class, and the whole world seems to be supporting them, like it says in the Bible. But again, this is about the facts here. When I talk about these things, because of the nature of all these crazies out there and these disinformation guys working for crazy governments, I deal in facts and truth. The fact of the matter is, the place was called Southport Merseyside, and it's in the UK. Okay. Also, the reporter was referred to as Daniel, and there's stabbings. I've done a lot of knife demonstrations. Right now I'm working on the book of Daniel. I've printed out 3 chapters so far. It's called Merseyside. I talk about how the throne is established, right, in mercy, among other things. And mercy, who, what, when, where, how, why. We're not talking about letting people continue magically after my flesh dies. No, that's not mercy. That's stupidity. That's injustice. That's wickedness. I've proven definitively that I'm the idea that Christ returning is superimposed on as the top martial arts ever possible. No fairy tale, tooth fairy nonsense. And fairy is another word for homosexual. It's another application of that term. But in truth, okay, I've proven the miracles are figurative, John 16:25, and that the way the Bible is written is in a way that's similar to the way Jesus is talking in parables. It's figurative, it's metaphor, it's parable. And especially the occultists and esoterics who believe that the original meaning is the true meaning, they believe there's a hidden message in the Bible, they know that I'm right. But I'm not an occultist. I'm not a Satanist. My religion is universal, pinpointing moral precision. So I urge you to check out my playlist titled Proof That I Am Christ. Okay? I'll put the link in the description. You might have to scroll down for it depending on what I decide to do there. It is clear that they're trying to stigmatize me. It is clear that part of their game is they kill several jackals with one stone. You know, they say birds with one stone, but they worship Baal, whose Egyptian equivalent is Set, who's symbolized, and associated with jackals. Jackal, Jack lay, right? Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumps over the candlestick, jacking somebody. And the candlestick, it goes back to the lamp on a stand. Now, some of you might be confused about that, but I've proven definitively that that's the pattern of Masonic and occult code that we see being used in corporations with the wordplay, gospel, go, spell, alphabet, alpha, bet, right? Who's the alpha? Who's the one you follow? Okay, who's the true top martial artist ever possible? That's me. But you are idolaters, and idol's a play on words for idol, okay? And with the interchangeable vowels, it's lead scrambled. And deal, the word deal is lead scrambled. Let's go back to mention, men, shun, dictate, dick, tate, diction, dick, shun. Who's dating who? The phallic symbols. The spear is a phallic symbol. To spirit. Throwing a staff, which is similar to a spear on the ground, it turns into a snake in the Bible, is witchcraft. It's sorcery. It's figurative, but it also has to do with magic tricks, like the circus, the carnival, the fair. You know, magic trick people. Hollywood, holy wood, right? A magic wand. Gandalf the Grey, Lord of the Rings, Mickey Mouse, Merlin, and that goes back to, the Anglosphere, English culture. It's a huge part of it. America, right, the main language here is English because of the history of colonialism, the British Empire, and so on and so forth. And we get the limit, right, the limey T. No offense to anyone, that's just the wordplay there, and they're referring to the English. Okay, and James Bond, an intelligence agency, right? They talk about how people have agency, right? To give a woman female agency, for example. So-called empowered. And empower is a play on words for me power, relying on their flesh instead of universal pinpointing moral precision, which is the Spirit of God. It allows for the Spirit of God. God is in the essence, in the center of that. That justice is part of the formula for the universe, and God created that justice. God is in the spirit of that justice, the spirit of that righteousness, the righteous God, the just God. God's known and exalted by his righteous and just acts, it says in Isaiah and Psalm 9. So when we look at this stabbing, what is it about? Well, even the numbers, you got to realize that this is one of the harder things for people to understand. I've done a lot of research, and it's not easy to explain what the proof is. But there's a lot of evidence out there. There's a lot of articles. Even Popular Science did an article about the mysteries of mind control, because it's a reality these days. Corporations spend tons of money trying to defend themselves from brain hacking and remote brain hacking, because it creates security vulnerabilities that their enemies can exploit, right? Corporate sabotage, corporate espionage, what have you. Corporate state, corporate alliances. A new world order has everything to do with corporate alliances. And new rhymes with Jew, rhyme and reason. But it's more than just the Jews that you think of. It's also the crypto Jews, like the English royal family. Look at their noses. Again, no offense to anybody. These are just the facts. When we look at society, who's the main person to blame? It's like the corporate person is up there somewhere, that's for sure. It's not so much Epstein and Weinstein, but them too, absolutely. But it's the person allowed to look better than that, because it's an image game. In fact, the word game is mage scrambled, and the word image is I mage, I game. And the word game starts with the word gay. And that's why there's this massive LGBT agenda. So again, this stabbing has to do with all these things. And among other things, is a message to many people at once. It's like gang members sending a message, mafiosos sending a message, the military striking back to send a message. When China and Russia sent their long-term bombers recently off the coast of Alaska or whatever it was to send a message. So we see messages are being sent in various ways. And one of them is stabbing. What's the purpose of terrorism? To send a message and to terrorize, right? So who's sending the message? Who, what, when, where, how, why? It's the corporate elite. Now, to understand the con, so you can be sure and confident that you're right when you interpret the signs, you have to put it into the context. And believe it or not, religious books are for the purpose of misleading people, because it's coded messages. It says one thing when you read it the first time, but when you look deeply, it's like saying something else. Okay? And it also has hidden codes that have to do with satanic rituals. And that's a long story why that is. It has to do with the wordplay itself, right? For example, the M is the 13th letter, right? And it can be for master mason, it can be for magic. The G can refer to the earth deity in the Roman system, also known as Gaia in the Greek system, and Ki, and that connects to martial arts and the Ki and the Chi. And there's a long story why that is, but you got to understand what's going on here. So what's going on in the world? Now, first of all, never forget this core concept in understanding what the hell is going on. Follow the money, follow the pussy, understand who's trying to look good and who's trying to make their race seem superior. If you don't understand those things, then you're going to be lost in the riddle, in the labyrinth. Okay, the word Baal was the enemy of God in the Bible, right? Bible, it's by Baal, by the guys who killed the prophets and wrote a book and said, hey, here you go, and then coded things into it. Baal is a lab scrambled, a lab, like a labyrinth or a lab experiment. And they've been doing all kinds of experiments, social experiments, chemical experiments. They put stuff in the air and the water. I can tell you that with certainty. I'm the son of 2 doctors here in California, not in the Ozarks. One a brain surgeon and a humanitarian. There's stuff in the water and the air, and part of it has to do with hacking your brain. If they throw your brain off, it's easier to hack it. So some of them probably are just substances that damage the brain so that you're not sharp, so you don't pick up on the fact that they're hacking your brain when they do. Now, I don't know to what degree people's brains are hacked, but I know for sure that their brains are hacked all the time. Okay. Now, we see recently Turkey, okay, and the president of Turkey, he said he might enter Palestine, which would escalate the war, and you'd have a wider regional conflict. And some of this is posturing, and some of it isn't. In fact, you look at the war of the Ukraine, it could have been way worse. So part of their posturing can include somewhat of a war, but it could have been way worse. And a lot of it has to do with bringing in control. Okay? And sexual control is the bell that rings the loudest. Now you might say, well, everyone knows that. If everyone knows that and it's that simple, okay, and it's that simple, then why are they going along with it? Because it's more logical to say, look, no one's that dumb to go along with, but they're going along with it. than it is to say everyone knows that, because they don't appreciate that. They don't appreciate what's going on. A slut knows it's stupid to be a slut, but she's still a slut. A racist knows it's being a dumb fuck to be a racist, but he's still a racist. An oppressor knows it's being a bitch-ass, sniveling worm to be an oppressor, but he's still a punk-ass oppressor. Because they don't appreciate why not to go along with it. They don't appreciate why death is preferred to assimilation into the mind control, kid rape, and kid rape allied worm New World Order. If you love God and you love your families, you must reject reproducing, you must reject complicity, you must stand firm for what is precisely right. Or you're being played like a bitch, like Pan playing the flute. You're being turned out, you're being tricked. You're a trick-ass bitch if you do what they say and what they want, and if you gang stalk people, you've been tricked into doing that because you're a dumb trick. Don't you see? We're not here for no reason. Well, I'm out of time for this video again. See my Proof of Christ playlist. Subscribe, and keep in mind there's a bunch of crazy people who want people to do things a certain way. They're in a black magic. A lot of them drive black vehicles, as corny as that is, believe it or not, with tinted windows. And they're in intelligence agencies, corporate groups, church groups, political groups, you name it. And they think that if they can take away from my videos and suppress them, that somehow it's in their best interest. And that any of their staff that might hear my videos or whoever might hear it, they think that, oh, you know, this guy doesn't know what he's doing or something. Which is a stupid argument to make. Obviously, I'm the only person who knows what he's doing because I'm the only person doing the right thing. Everyone else is cheating me out of my right to lead. Duh.